I am Mark Stewart Greenstein. I'm the co-founder of the All-American Freedom Party. And I wanted to address two of voters' concerns as expressed in a GHAAA meeting earlier today. I was in attendance. It was a Zoom call for me. And we were hearing a candidate who I like. He is a progressive, unabashed. I don't like his values, but I do like his gumption, his guts, and his stand-upness. So let me address both from a more libertarian perspective. That's where I come from, and it's almost the opposite of what progressives have become. Originally, progressive, good idea, but it has morphed, unfortunately, into more power for government agencies and for the large corporations that tie themselves to government agencies at the expense of the rest of us. Less power for us. So with that, let me address Obamacare. It's the epitome of a progressive program that has helped enrich, really, some corporations, some heads of those corporations, and impoverished almost all of us. Our deductibles are so much higher than they were before Obamacare. In fact, they're so high that most people, after paying Obamacare premiums, it might be a little bit lower, they can't use Obamacare because they don't even reach the high deductible, $5,000 or $10,000, before they even get coverage. So they pay for insurance, they pay for some hospital visits that are short, although it takes a $1,500 bill now for a single 2-hour emergency room visit. And they don't even get coverage until they've had enough visits to make Obamacare kick in. HMOs have been enriched. Hospitals have enriched. Providers of tests, providers of medicines, the drug industry itself, they've all been enriched by Obamacare. We haven't. Many of us accepted Obamacare when it came around because of our acceptance, even like for Mr. Obama. But the policies that he and leftists around him brought upon us have not been good. Obamacare being the number one hurt of most American families. Now, somebody brought up the sillier proposal of the federal government, and this is a Biden proposal, paying college debt. Just because you exist and went through 4 years of college, whether you're making a lot of money after that college or making very little, they want to erase the debt. And of course, we are paying for that. And somebody in the audience, you were absolutely right to bring up that those who chose not to get into big debt, maybe not to go to college at all, or to be scrupulous and go to just a 2-year college, a state university that cost them less. Well, they're not seeing a benefit compared to the person that went to Oberlin at $85,000 a year. Bowdoin, Bennington, Goucher. These colleges just milk lots of money from people, but they enter with open eyes, at least their parents do, maybe not at age 17. So it's not right to just give them a free pass. It's especially harmful to people in this community. I'm in Blue Hills. Whether that's Bloomfield, Hartford, Windsor, these are communities, largely African American, whose college graduates generally take wise majors, okay, practical majors, so that if they do get themselves into big debt, they have the earning power to pay it off. Now contrast that with the Goucher and the Oberlin 4-year full tuition now getting paid by they major in these silly things that are impractical, okay? You don't see black guys majoring in gender studies. You don't see African Americans majoring in South American poetry or European history, okay? That's elite, largely whites, who are now getting this huge benefit. And that is the characteristic. Elites getting the benefit because they're part of the in. We should be fighting that. And Democrat establishment, they don't. They bring it on even more. I'll conclude with one other thing that came up about fighting crime. I have a policy that I'd be promoting for ending recidivism. The horrible aspect of somebody in jail who, after being released, goes back to jail very quickly because of more crime being the better road for him. It's usually him. We need better off-ramps from jail and on-ramps for these men to good, productive employment. It is very hard, it always has been, when you have on your record ex-convict. But there have been a decent number of employers. That is shrinking because of the ubiquity of background checks, because the scariness from HR departments and their legal departments. Ooh, you hired this ex-con who had lots of driving violations for an office job. We can't hire those people, even though their violation was 15 years in the past, had nothing to do with the upcoming work that an employer does. They just take it away. I am trying to do my part because I provide housing at a low cost to men who can't go back to a family. They don't have a family around. But rather than going back to the street hoods, they have a place in the suburbs inexpensively. I also started my last campaign in the very shelter that is an off-ramp for many men who don't have a place to go or a job. And I've been happily employing some of them. I will see some of them actually tomorrow. Thanks for listening to Stan's podcast. Thanks for the participation. I look forward to engaging with you. Again, I'm Mark Stewart, Stewart for Hartford.